What's good, man? We back. It's RTTV, man.
Gang.
If it's your first time here, definitely won't be your last. Make sure you kill, murder, and
Smash
that subscribe button. And welcome back to RTTV, where we react to everything. And a new lore journey begins, man. Officially, it began a long time ago when we did a Stardust. And then we did a secret level episode, and now we back after the announcement that they're gonna be doing the whole series of Astartes next year. We're here with Warhammer 40K, and we're about to do the lore video for the first time. So there's a lot of people that do this journey, and they typically start off with like breaking down the beginner's guide and the factions. So that's what we're gonna check out today, man. If you guys want to be seeing this early, you can be on our Patreon. We get this and a lot of other lore videos early, and animes and movies and all that, man. The link's right down below. But let's get into the first video. What the F is Warhammer 40K? Explain for beginners.
That is a great title.
Yeah.
What the F is Warhammer 40K?
The Emperor of Man, the Charon Lord, for whom 1,000 souls die every day, human blood, human flesh, the stuff of which is an Imperium is made. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for there is no peace among the stars. The universe is a big place, and whatever happens will not be missed.
Welcome to the first in my series of primers focused on the universe of Warhammer 40,000. If you're watching this, you may well be brand new to the all-encompassing hobby we call 40K.
Yeah.
But
we're not brand new.
Like to the lore, we're new.
Yeah.
Consider looking into it any further. Well, for one reason, in recent times, people's appetites have been reawakened to highly immersive TV series like Game of Thrones or movie franchises with a decent backstory. 40K goes considerably far beyond these examples. It is one of the biggest miniature war games in the world. It features an ever-evolving story that expands in written text, video games, and of course its original and arguably most important feature, the miniatures and its tabletop game.
I've seen that before.
Oh, it's a tabletop. I didn't know that.
Me either. That's crazy.
Games and associated materials.
They said we gotta play the game too, yo.
Is a video game?
The video game and a tabletop game, apparently.
Video game looks like Gears of War.
It's as point as I can make it. But if you want to know more about specifics, here on my channel I've covered in detail some of the core background areas of the game, which is continuing to expand. I'll also be continuing to produce these short specifics here on my channel. I've covered in detail some of the core background areas of the game, which is continuing to expand. I'll also be continuing to produce these short primers to the world of 40K, and I'll also be continuing to make the longer form content, which is featured regularly here on the channel. Often referred to by those already consumed by Warhammer 40,000 as the hobby, 40K is not one thing to one person. It is a highly detailed narrative spanning multiple empires, from world-ending galactic campaigns to lowly individual soldier stories. It is a series of usually middle-of-the-road video games with a few standout gems. It's a hobby of addictive miniature painting and crafting, and it is a tabletop war game now established.
So
it's very detailed.
Yeah, kind of like Gundam.
I can see why you say that, yeah. But it takes a lot of strategy, it seems.
Necromunda and Kill Team. And these often require only, say, 6 to 10 pieces per side and are very accessible for new players. Whereas standard Warhammer 40,000 tabletop may require larger armies with many, many pieces. Now, before we come to the lore, it is worth looking at the original tabletop game, as this will give you a better understanding of just everything about it. If you've never seen or encountered a tabletop game, this is not important, it's actually very simple. Usually, two players will engage in a battle laid out on a table at your home or a gaming venue. The area of play will be set with terrain pieces, often crafted and painted by the players, and they will alternate turns moving their miniature soldiers or vehicles, and will resolve engagements through random dice rolls according to specific rules and combinations of preset units.
That's fire.
Yeah,
that's like Halo Wars. You ever play Halo Wars? Like, it's like these strategy games that like all like Fire Emblems plays like that too, Jerry. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like almost like chess. Like you make moves here and stuff like that. That's kind of fire. I didn't know that they actually played that like in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, me either. I thought it was all online when it came. Like, cause I seen tabletop games, but when it came to Warhammer, I never knew that it was a tabletop game that you have to move like that.
That's fire.
Very intricate too.
It seems like you need mad pieces to play it.
Like mad space.
Yeah, you see that? It's like a whole terrain, bro.
It's like a real hobby, though.
And these games can be highly strict or open to player interpretations. Players will usually paint their miniature soldiers for use on the battlefield, and these can be in a variety of factional designs and colours. Some people prefer their involvement in 40k to be focused entirely on this hobby of painting, designing, and modifying these units. And this part of 40k can be just as all-consuming as the lore or the tabletop. Some may choose to split their time between each part, or devote all their hobby time to one piece of the whole.
That's dope because it really just leaves it to interpretation.
Yeah.
So anybody can really make us their own story.
Yeah, I get you. Because you can really just paint your own figurine and just make your figurine have its own story in itself, or you can focus on the actual lore that's within 40k.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was noticing that all the pieces look different from what we've seen.
So Warhammer 40,000 is set in the distant future, a future beset by galactic war from a skirmishing city turf war level through to planetary conquest and system-wide campaigns fought through its space and planets. It is far more pessimistic than most other deep lore universes and also regularly borders on what you would describe as space horror. Now 40k is primarily focused around humanity, which has through many thousands of years achieved an unimaginable level of technology, and then lost the majority of this zenith through a devastating war. Humanity after this ancient war was left broken and fragmented across the galaxy. It would be later reunified by one godlike individual known as the Emperor of Man.
That looked cool.
The new order for mankind known as the Imperium of Man. But a devastating civil war known as the Horus Heresy would befall mankind before the Emperor could complete his goals for humanity, and he would instead now become a living corpse enshrined on Earth or Terra.
That's a lot right there in itself, yo.
You get like this godlike king, like he's put on Earth. He's like a living corpse, is that?
Yeah. And he's the one running things right now. And it's funny that before there was everything wasn't utopic, but everything was good. There was like a whole zenith type of like resource that everything was basically thriving off of. Things exploded from a war, and now everything's spread across. And this dude right now is the thing, the person that's running things.
Become shattered by this civil war, and after a slow, painful recovery, it has become for the longest time a stagnant civilization. Suffocating under its own bureaucracy, the Imperium has begun making the smallest steps toward advancement in the most recent days of its history, but it still stands as a strange juxtaposition of ancient tech that is beyond the comprehension of many of its citizens. It is a weak and precarious civilization, simultaneously able to wield immense military power. Humanity itself, through thousands of years of conflict with alien races, but more often than not excessively hostile, has become a highly xenophobic race. It views almost all other races as needing to be exterminated.
Damn,
Almost no morals or ethics as to how this is to be achieved.
Like a Viltrum,
the galaxy-spanning empire of humanity is essentially a totalitarian state that worships the Emperor of Man. The Imperium of Man has large, if not complete, control over its citizens, including many aspects of their lives, the economy, social life, education, private lives, science, and indoctrination into its ideology.
And the images itself are really dope, yo.
Of the Emperor may and will be persecuted as heretics, and this is often largely open to interpretation and leads to large-scale abuses of power and executions. The Imperium uses this deeply entrenched worship and imperial ideology to control and mobilize mass populations of its citizenry for its armies like the Imperial Guard and Imperial Fleet. It also will utilize its citizens to fulfill whatever role is needed. These roles can, and often are, fairly unpleasant, especially when the rule of law is often severe and absolute. Humanity...
Nah, the Imperium in this is really... It's wild.
It kind of reminds. It brings me back to like the Secret Level episode. How like we seen these guys in the armor like kill these aliens or whatever is attacking them with no regard for life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because this is like they only worship the Emperor of Man. I think they called them. So like, and they're xenophobes, like he said. So it's like they go on with life trying to exterminate everything
around them, because they don't even think that anybody's like actually equal to their stature.
Yeah.
Nah, that's insane, bro. It's like, I thought the Star Wars Imperium was wild, but this one takes it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, it's on savagery.
Yeah, this is...
It also wields in its arsenal the Emperor's greatest gift, the military sledgehammer known as the Imperial Astartes. These are the iconic space marines, genetically enhanced...
And that's what we've seen in Space Marine.
Pinnacle of human modification.
So yeah, those are the things that we've seen in all of like. Whenever we've seen Warhammer, this is what we've seen right here.
So a Star Chase is against the Imperium.
They work for them. They're Space Marines.
Okay.
So that's what they are right
So
here.
they are superhumans?
Yeah, superhumans that's modified. I can run it back so you can
run it back a little bit so I can see that.
The military sledgehammer known as the Imperial Astartes.
Yeah,
These are the iconic Space Marines, genetically enhanced superhuman warriors who represent the pinnacle of human modification and military power. Their forces have access to
Captain
some of the
America
most powerful weapons.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. It's like you take Captain America and put him in the Hulkbuster. That's exactly
I don't
it.
know how they fight when they're out of the suit.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And force multipliers humanity wields. Much of this tech is ancient and requires careful care and repair by specialists dedicated to retaining this critical knowledge. But as powerful as humanity
Because
is,
remember I said before that they're like there was a whole civilization that had like ancient tech, like it's still spilled over, but a lot of people don't know about it.
And they also said earlier there was like that most people don't know exactly how a lot of the tech works.
Exactly. So that's why even when it comes to their suits, they have to be careful with it because they don't even know the full capacity of it or what it does in itself.
And they only have particular people that are trying to keep that going.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only people that can fix it.
humanity is, even with its small progression in its most recent times, it still stands on the edge of annihilation by various alien races or entities. Humanity somehow has survived to this point despite being on an almost permanent risk of complete destruction and forced extinction. Within the lore, this has nearly happened on multiple occasions. What is left of humanity now in the Imperium of Man are the remnants of those survivors.
Wow.
Ignorant, fearful people in a fairly constant state of decay where critical technological information is often lost.
Imagine that you always have to worry about being extinct.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Lost technology from the zenith period of mankind, known as the Dark Age of Technology, otherwise referred to as the Golden Age. It also focuses upon the continued defense and expansion of its territories, and of course the extermination of all alien races, known collectively as the Xenos.
Wow. So that's what you brought up earlier about the Xenos and stuff like that. So Xenos are collectively just like alien races that they're saying that they're trying to exterminate. Okay. That's what I got from it.
The extermination of all alien races known collectively as
the Xenos. Yeah.
So pretty much all aliens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not even like everybody under us, y'all.
It's
It's on site.
You Xenos, then we gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Because humanity has become so violently and ignorantly xenophobic in the far future, it also has no qualms about committing planetary levels of genocide.
Damn.
If
Wow.
you're not human and don't worship
Alright,
the Emperor,
Frieza.
then you are the enemy,
Yeah.
a heretic, and must be exterminated.
Wow.
Diplomacy is almost not a thing for the Imperium, and the usual
not at all.
recourse is to just shoot on sight. In fairness,
That's
though,
gangster.
there was a time where humanity had attempted a more diplomatic approach, but this over time has just disintegrated, with most of its contact with aliens resulting in some kind of conflict. It now simply believes all other life must be extinguished, and these
crazy.
dominated and enslaved for work or experimentation. These cases are usually quite rare. There are 6 other races that are seen as the enemies of humanity. Any of these factions can be played by you within the tabletop game of 40K or models for collecting and painting. Some players will dedicate themselves entirely to one faction, building it up, fleshing it out to the limit of their model making ability, and others may have multiple armies of different factions.
So it seems like right now we're about to get into the 6 factions that make up different xenoforms that goes against the humankind. And I'm not gonna hold you, yo. The way I think about it now, think about us. If we always have to worry about being extinct, I think we would get on a time where it'll be an on-site when it comes to certain aliens.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
you could tell it's like very deep into the future because they've abandoned the idea of like even caring for these things or even a diplomatic approach on like. I feel like just thinking about like how we live now, I feel like there's always gonna be a group of people that's caring about like the other species.
Yeah.
Imagine when nobody cares about them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's a different kind of way of living.
That's scary.
Yeah.
They don't care about
Like,
them so
they
much that they put them in one box of species.
Yeah.
You all the xenoforms.
And it's like there's no talking. It's just like, we're just going to kill you. You're not us. We're just going to kill you.
The Necrons are a very ancient race, strange creatures that appear like metallic skeletons. They're actually formed of living metal. They span the galaxy and are in a continuing state of awakening from their tombs after many thousands of years of sleep. They seek to rebuild their empire and dominate the galaxy. One of their key abilities is that of reanimation. They can reassemble themselves after death and fight on. They're also generally mindless automatons. How this came to be is another story.
That's fine.
Necrons has seen fit to recently rename some of its units, largely it seems for legal reasons, but since forever this faction has been known as the Eldar. More recently it was known as the Eldari, but basically it's the Eldar. These are derived from the elves of many more fantasy games that are basically space elves. Despite this quite simplistic analogy, the Eldar have a rich and tragic lore. Because of past disasters that have left the Eldar with no homeworld to speak of, they now travel the galaxy in vast ships known as craft worlds. The Eldar wield powerful weapons, but are generally physically weak, and they also have immense arrogance towards other races. Their defining feature, and to some degree their biggest flaw, is that the Eldar are very powerful when it comes to psykers and psychic abilities. The Dark Eldar are essentially space pirates who live lives of excess and sadistic torture porn. Anyone who looks like they're about to be captured by the Dark Eldar is rarely something that you would want to contemplate, and suicide would generally...
Yeah, that's the last people you want to get got. You don't want to get got by Dark Eldar.
Yo, that's crazy.
So, they get got by the Necrons, bro. This is because them Dark Eldars, bro. No. Chill, gang.
So the Eldar, they seem the first group of them, the ones that
the Necrons they're like the robotic type of
I'm saying because they said the Dark Eldar and then just a regular Eldar.
Eldars,
the Eldars, right? So pretty much they're weak, but they're uppity. They're just royalty, and they're
strong with psychic abilities.
Okay, all right.
And they have to be nomadic. They have basically they have no home. So they have a big ass warship that they basically just be traveling with all their people on.
So they're like, we're just better than you.
Faction of many.
They're kind of like the
goals. Chaos is
what's the thing in One Piece?
And it originates from the parallel dimension known as the warp. And this dimension is a reactive plane of existence that absorbs the most powerful emotions and desires of mortal creatures. The reactive Imperium would lead to the birth of entities of godlike power, the Chaos Gods. They each focus on specific mortal desires. Khorne is the god of blood, representing war, rage, and hatred. Tzeentch is the chamber representing ambition, conspiracy, and sorcery. Nurgle is the plague god, representing mortality, morbidity, and despair. And Slaanesh is the god of lust, greed, excess, pleasure.
I got that from that image.
The emotions of the galaxy's inhabitants sustain these entities. However, they also reach out into the mortal realm through their manifested entities made from the warp known as demons. And these hellish creatures are enough to send ordinary citizens insane on sight.
Wow.
Traitors to the Imperium, the corrupted Chaos Space Marines. The gods of chaos and their agents can also infect the minds of mortals, and often cults and worshippers.
And that might be what we seen in the Secret Level episode.
I was just thinking the same thing when the Space Marines was down in that spot, and then basically they was tempting them with their fears. They had that one dude that wasn't able to break because he didn't have no fear at all and stuff like that. So these are one of these. It seems like these chaos gods. These are the ones that are really the ones to be scared about, right? Yeah.
This is again one reason why the Imperium of Man is so ruthless about purging heretics. While chaos itself in the material world appears as one enemy that simply wages war, it is in fact in an internal conflict within itself. Each of the Chaos Gods fights for domination over the others, and this occupies the majority of their focus and energy. Each god's ultimate goal is complete domination of the Imperium, a goal which seems unattainable and dangerous to their own existence.
That's so far.
Yo, this
Chaos
world is crazy.
And pervasive forces in 40K, and has many forces operating under its banner. Some dedicated to a specific god, others that simply worship chaos undivided.
The Orks.
Now everybody knows the Orks, right? Middle Earth and all that crap. Not these Orks. These are more Mad Max Fury Road. And then you're in the right ballpark.
British football hooligans.
Also in space. Space Orks are likely a genetically designed species focused for hyper-violence and to be almost impossible to permanently exterminate.
Wow.
They are as hilarious as they are dangerous, and the entire society focuses around casual violence. The Orks, though, are also probably the most sunny and optimistic of all races, strangely. Their genetic disposition sets them to see things as generally good and enjoyable, especially when it comes to fighting. And they never really
That's
see
cool.
failure as
They're like
a
Vikings.
negative, so
Exactly.
you just get to have another go later. They also operate more on instinct by design than learned knowledge, and their willpower becomes more powerful the more Orks are present, meaning when they're collected en masse, they can literally will things to be true by collective belief.
Wow!
The ability to just cobble together vehicles and weapons from scrap. They also have no real governing structure. Leaders are chosen by progressively...
It's like Borderlands, too.
...smashing their rivals' heads in until an Ork eventually reaches the position of being...
I kind of like the Orks.
The Orks are fire.
Yeah.
They may launch a massive campaign...
They're violent but
of
optimistic.
anything that's not Ork by launching a warg. Essentially, a huge, no-holds-barred slaughter.
It's a terrible world, bro.
Yeah.
It's a terrible place to be.
The Tau are one of the newer races and are fast learning that the galaxy is not a friendly place. The Tau operate similarly to the Orks on a more optimistic level, but that's about as far as their common ground with the Orks goes. Because the Tau exist on the fringe of the Imperium and are unusual as they actively encourage other races to join their cause. They collectively
They're like what,
follow an
rebellion?
ideology known as the greater good. This is their guiding principle.
So they're actually down with
Is better than
intermingling
working
of
against one
races.
another.
Yeah.
This leads to a stronger, more peaceful society.
Okay.
Yeah, word.
Anybody who disagrees with this, let's prepare for war. To be
That's
fair,
That's hard. I like that.
do usually attempt significant levels of diplomacy before declaring their target a lost cause.
What are their names? The what?
The Tau.
The
It's
Tau.
largely focused around technology and ranged combat, something often mocked and derided by their enemies. The Tau themselves are comparatively weak and use other races absorbed into their faction to fight in close quarters.
Word. So, out of all of them right now, it seems like the Tau are the ones that's the most, like, diplomatic, the ones that's actually trying to go about, like, unifying the universe. The only thing with them that I like, though, is, like, they'll go about the diplomatic approach a couple times. If it don't work, then they're, all right, we gotta smoke you.
Yeah.
The only problem with them is that they're weak, so they do need to, like, put it this way, like, they kind of, in this world's crazy. You kind of got no choice but to be diplomatic when you can't fight.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
weak, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I gotta get people to kind of roll to my cause, because that's probably my only strong suit in a world like this where we demons.
Facts.
Tyranids are an unusual exception to all previous Xenos.
Tyranids.
They do not operate on an ideology, a political structure, or debatably a single leader. They are the most Xenos of Xenos and have begun a steady invasion of the galaxy. They are presumed to have arrived from beyond the borders of the known galaxy and are hostile in the extreme. They do not wield
So
any
these are the
technology
dominant
as we would
ones.
understand it, or their ships, forces, and weapons are biological in origin.
Wow.
Those nightmarish factions within 40K. Their singular goal is biomass. That
Yeah.
is to strip planets of all biological and mineral materials, leaving them barren, dead husks.
Oh my gosh!
Prejudice and will not cease their assault unless they are damaged to a point where their acquisition of biomass becomes negative to that being expended. They use all material to birth their forces on their vast bioships and recycle their own units by dissolving them back into the pool
That's
of
crazy.
biomass, which then they draw to create anything else they may need. They absorb the genetics of all that they encounter and use this to evolve and create more hostile and efficient creatures and bio-machines to achieve their goal. They may also seed and infect planets ahead of time to often use the planet's own inhabitants against themselves when the Tyranids...
Nah, they're this is the enemy.
Yeah, nah,
this
this
is
is
a,
what-
this is a ultimate evil because it's like, yo, we don't care about anything except for world domination. Literally, like they want to come to every single planet and just strip everything off the planet.
Because everything they use is based on biology.
Yeah.
Like living things.
Living things. So by nature, they're made to kill everything around them, bro.
And it's like a living thing on like a planetary scale. Like they could turn a planet. And they have ships that are living.
Yeah.
So like they can literally take the parts of a planet and turn it
And
into,
modify it.
Yeah, and
That's-
turn it to some many more shit.
That's,
You know?
that's good, like mad scientists.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like they literally need to destroy to live. They're just doing this to live.
Like something called the hive mind. This is essentially a broadcasted collective consciousness that enables them the powerful skill of being able to operate.
That makes sense since they're living things.
Individual entities across a planet.
Wow.
These
Wow.
are
They can win an
horrific,
election.
seemingly
Yeah, so you
unstoppable, and have already wrought terrible destruction upon many others across the galaxy.
Yeah, so you gotta take out the hive mind to
Their
beat them, I
already
guess.
devastating campaigns are only the initial scouting parties to the Milky Way galaxy, and if this is true, the Tyranids could be the ones to end everything.
Yeah,
Wow,
they
yeah.
said that whatever's
While not
attacked
wanting
so
to touch
far
on
is
the
just a
subject
scouting
of psychic
party.
Wow.
power, only in this video,
Damn.
many
Right?
factions in 40k feature what are known as psychers. These are essentially individuals who can wield what you might describe in other universes as magic powers.
Okay.
Some factions have strong psychers and others have none. And these powers are drawn from the parallel dimension known as the warp or the
Alien.
immaterial.
Right.
Individuals who can use these powers do so at considerable risk, as the warp is an unstable and dangerous realm. The relationship between real space and warp space is a complicated one and can affect many aspects of life in the far future, but this is something best covered in another video.
Okay. So like the magic ability that's called warp is kind of similar to like arcane, where it's like is a magic that people don't know that's very unstable, that they don't know how it could affect the future.
Kind of like Hextech.
Yeah.
Okay.
The takeaway for you today is that Warhammer 40,000 is a world of vast-scale warfare and complex interfactional and internal factional power struggles. 40k is by its very nature often absurd to the extreme. Sometimes this can be somewhat detrimental to its own narrative because when everything is supersized and extreme in the extreme, suddenly everything looks kind of the same and then it becomes arguably less impressive. However, 40k just owns its own absurdity and is something that you just have to roll with and suspend your disbelief. For many who are obsessed with 40k, the hyper-violent, xenophobic, genocidal nature of its occupants is largely a source for much dark humour. Most people that are into Warhammer, they don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, I
And
believe
it's
it.
also fun to take things in 40k very seriously because it contains so much detail. But simultaneously, there are many memes and pure nonsensical comedy that comes from 40k because of just how extreme it is. The classic It Sounds Like Heresy being one such example whereby anyone who dissents from the official line of thinking is declared a heretic and executed on the spot. It's one that I enjoy using all the time in the comments. And the key theme of 40k is purely about war. The lore is a vast, all-encompassing backdrop that stands on its own.
That's all the name is his name.
War to the unending. It's focused this way because it represents the.
But if I could throw Evan in any world, it'd be this one.
Finally, about factional war. 40k itself operates on a fairly healthy dose of irony. Much of the events and organizations, forces and individuals often are
That's
the
messed
result
up,
of
dirty,
half-truths or
nasty.
pure indoctrination.
That was
And
nasty
some of those
work,
that are
Rob.
held up as heroes are not what they appear to be, and as usual, the context of events are very important, but many things can end up being actually quite subjective. The fact that the Imperium itself has to its devout worship of the Emperor now has its state religion embedded in almost everything it does, which is hilarious when you consider the Emperor of Man set out to eradicate religion from humanity entirely. Warhammer 40k draws from a lot of historical events and ideologies. It also borrows heavily from other settings like Dune, 2000 AD, Lovecraftian influence, obviously Tolkien, and even older texts like Milton's Paradise Lost and the Divine Comedy with Dante and the Inferno. 40k continues to be fleshed out over time.
So a lot of his,
Signs of
I feel like
identity
lore is based on other things that they've seen in the past historically.
It is a universe that has consumed me for some 30 years, and I highly recommend that you allow the darkness of the far future to enter your life. You may live to regret it, but you will undoubtedly enjoy it. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, if you have a suggestion for what my next 40k primer should be, tell me in the comments. If you want to learn more about Warhammer 40,000, check out the video on the end screen to the left, or my collected playlist of content to the right. This is Luton. I'll see you in the next one.
Like, of all the worlds to live in, of all the content that we covered, I feel like this is like top 5 the worst world to live in.
No, that's
because
number one.
like it might be because literally the whole point of living is just warfare.
Yeah.
You're living to survive, to protect yourselves. And at first when I was like, damn, these dudes are really mad xenophobic and it's kind of messed up, I'm like, nah, it's not, because the intentions of all of these other all of the Xenos seem extremely malicious. So it's like we have no choice but to stand our ground and fight. no matter what, because everybody's just trying to attack at all times. That's crazy.
I love this video too, and I like what he said at the end because it was like, yo, this is something that you're not supposed to take serious, but you take serious. So it's like, in terms of like all the killing and all that wild stuff, don't take that serious. But in terms of you diving into the lore or into the gaming aspect of it, that you should take this serious because it's so detailed and intricate and stuff like that. That was a great way of saying it.
I'm saying don't take it serious because you're gonna get heartbroken. Like I feel like in certain characters, it's like it seems like it's no happy ending. I say like, yo, like don't fall in love with certain characters because you might have die. Yeah, that's why I feel like it's like don't take something like the way people love certain characters and things. I think it's more like
I can feel that
this world's so war like, and it's all types of war from biological warfare to gods and monsters. Like it's every form of war in this world. That's why to me it's kind of crazy. It's like all this technology and stuff, but then you got people infecting people with superhuman abilities. But then you have the gods that manipulate and use people, and then you have alien species. It's like all forms of every type of war in this world, and it's like I don't really see how they could win when there's so many villains.
Bro, I definitely agree that this is probably the worst world to live in, no question. More so because one, there's so many different ways to fight, and there's also so many different ideologies on why we fight, and bro, you got some real despicable people, some people just trying to live, some people fighting with these type of weapons, with mind warfare, with biological, bro, it's I don't even know what to defend, how to defend.
I'm with the towels.
Yeah.
Are you?
They're the nicest ones. They're the ones that the diplomatic ones and stuff, but the only thing about
Don't
them,
get caught slipping by a dark orc, bro. They gonna murk you, bro.
Happily, too.
Happily. It's I might want to be the nice guy, but in this world, I might want to be the most ruthless, bro. I'm trying to live. Because you're going to die out this bitch.
That's what I like about this story, too. I love how vast the lore is, and how many different factions there are and species there are.
Yeah.
So I feel like it really is meant for you. I think it was first created to play your tabletop game because I feel like it's very similar to the Dungeons and Dragons games where you're creating your own story while playing with somebody else. So it's you have all these different species and you make it up. You know what I'm saying? This is how dark it gets. It's all about fighting a war. So I feel like you can get very, very creative with playing the game together. I think hopefully one day we can play something like this. You know what I'm saying? Especially, I'll be interested to see how y'all paint your figures. Or even playing the game, the video game. I think that would be cool to see. And I like how it takes inspiration from these fictions that we already, the Lord of the Rings. They said that and the Dante's Inferno and all these other things that they mentioned. So it's creative, and I hope that RTTV gets to play it in one type of way in the future, man.
Yeah, one way or another. Yeah. There's too much of it because they have the video games, like you said, that looks like Gears of War. So one way or another, we'll find it, we'll do it. And y'all can guide us along the way of which, how to go about it and stuff, man. We're with this journey with y'all. This first video was dope right here. Recommend down in the comments other little videos that we should check out, man. Check out our Patreon. We got more. You can get it early. It's your boy Patricrt.
It's a Maniac.
It's your boy Robcityrt.
What up, it's your boy DC?
Your boy Wells.
And that settles it at
The Round Table.